Welcome to the Exchange Daily. News you can use. Today is November 11th, 2025. I'm Tom, your news anchor for the day. Now, let's get on with the news. On today's briefing, the Senate's move to fund the government temporarily restores key cybersecurity laws. Forrester warns that 69% of public sector generative AI projects are at risk of failure. Google SecOps is forcing security teams to migrate APIs. A critical Android vulnerability puts enterprise devices at risk with no user click required. And Microsoft changes its mind on Teams licensing, rebundling the software, and changing your IT costs. First up, news from Washington. A Senate continuing resolution vote on November 10th includes language to temporarily renew two critical cybersecurity laws. The 2015 Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Act and the State and Local Cyber Grant Program both expired at the end of September. This created a legal gray area for private companies sharing threat intelligence with the government and froze funding for state and local IT security. For federal CISOs, this move restores the liability protections that underpin public-private threat sharing. For state and local leaders, it means the critical grant program is back online. However, this is a temporary fix tied to the short-term funding bill. IT leaders must operate knowing this funding and legal uncertainty may return. Moving on to artificial intelligence. A new report from Forrester finds that while 69% of public sector organizations are actively using generative AI, most pilots are not aligned with mission outcomes. The analysis, published on November 9th, warns that agencies are being sold on features instead of focusing on value. Forrester urges CIOs and chief AI officers to reject vendor pilots that cannot be explicitly linked to a measurable mission goal. The report also highlights a critical financial risk. The inference cost, or the cost to run an AI query, must be treated as a primary budget metric, not an afterthought, to prevent runaway spending. Agencies are also warned to avoid vendor arrangements that risk digital imperialism by locking up public data. In vendor news, Google is pushing updates to its security operations platform. As of November 9th, Google announced it is migrating its SOAR APIs to the Unified Chronicle API. Security teams with custom scripts will need to update their code for the new endpoints. The V1 beta for this new API will be available on November 17th. This change is intended to improve stability. Google also rolled out a new user interface preview for its UDM search. To help security teams, Google Threat Intelligence is offering unlimited searches through its web interface for the entire month of November. This follows a recent service incident, after which Google also published new documentation to help teams understand and troubleshoot rule detection delays. Meanwhile, a critical vulnerability is impacting Android devices. The November 2025 Android Security Bulletin details a remote code execution, or RCE, vulnerability. This flaw is in the core system component and is tracked as CVE 2025-48593. What makes this vulnerability particularly dangerous is that it requires no user interaction. An attacker could exploit it remotely without the user ever clicking a link or opening a file. This poses an extreme risk to all unpatched devices, including those in a BYOD or bring-your-own-device fleet. IT managers must enforce the November 1st, 2025 security patch level immediately, though patch availability may lag on non-Pixel devices. Finally, procurement leaders are facing a strategy shift from Microsoft. As of November 1st, Microsoft has reversed its earlier decision and is once again bundling Teams with Microsoft 365 and Office 365 enterprise suites for new customers worldwide. After unbundling Teams to satisfy regulators, this new global policy changes the cost structure for enterprise agreements. Prices for suites without Teams have been reduced, while the cost of standalone teams' enterprise has gone up. CIOs and procurement teams who built their 2026 budgets on the unbundled model must now reevaluate their Microsoft licensing costs. This session is provided by D. Anthony of Matora Solutions. Feel free to reach out to D at podcasts@matora.solutions if you want to know more or want to get involved. That's podcast with an S in Matora spelled METORA.solutions. No .com needed. That's the exchange for today. Remember, inspect what you expect. Quick disclaimer and sources note. The author used AI in part to create this newscast. For the sources and why we included some topics and omitted other topics, see the notes that came with this audio. Our goal is to be transparent and show you how we sourced the info we used.